Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing today? Oh, one second. Of course, now my iPhone alarm decides to go off. There we go. Good morning. Make sure we're connected here. Come on. Come on. Oh, I am so happy. I am so happy. I have gotten maybe 2 to 3 hours of sleep. One of those nights where I'm like, I just cannot sleep. Mm. But I'm drinking tea and working on my way to get up. And eventually I'll be feeling a little bit better. Mm. No, I was definitely supposed to say Britt Butler, but I was redeemed during the middle. Oh no. 1 second. I need to make an adjustment. Just give me 1 second here. hmm I'm not going to change it because I think it's funny. But I'm going to do this and this. Mm-hmm. 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 There we go. And let's see. Okay, nobody got it before I disabled it. I'm way too tired to do it this morning. Good morning, Uda VA. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the menagerie. Yes. I think I'll be getting House Flipper very soon. The question is, do we get House Flipper 1 first and play through House Flipper 1, or do I go straight through House Flipper 2? Or do I skip everything and get this game called My Sexy Neighbor 2? Just kidding. That is most definitely not the kind of game we can play on stream. Mm, no, but should we do House Flipper 1 or House Flipper 2? Just skip House Flipper 1 then. Have I played House Flipper 2? I have not played House Flipper 1. Interesting. Interesting. Mm, mm. My fingies hurt. House Flipper 2 is just better? Okay. Yeah, I might just go straight to House Flipper 2 then. Oh, but wait a second. Well, looks like I get House Flipper 1 free. Either way, we're not going to play it right now. Thank you for the lurks. Thank you for the lurks. Alright. And I guess I'll do Southern. You know what to do. We're gonna go through all of the things and do the thing. I'm so tired. you got a 3-month? Oh, I'll say congratulations when I see it. See ya. Okay. Good morning, Sakona. Thank you for getting first. Good morning, Star. Congratulations on second. And Spooky, congratulations on third. And then to all those who've checked in, good morning, Star and Goblin and Spooky Kaz. Good morning, Tasha and Poison Amelia. Good morning, Lachlan and Void and Asher. Good morning, Infernal, Echo Infernal and Sakona. Good morning, Rookies Rebellion, Alentia and Spooky Nami. Good morning, Mayhuerta and Maddie and Elissima. Good morning, Kate, Sucky Peach and Zombie Biscuit. Good morning, Necronisha, Josie and Bellatrix. Good morning, Alaskan Daddy, Render and Broken Arc Fae. Good morning, Onyx, Kizu and Imana. Good morning, Amin, Amy, Mobear, and Brooke. Good morning, Ghostway. Cinder and Rainy Day Day. Good morning, Arya, Luna, Sleepy Sunny Poppy. Good morning, Lizzie, Julia, and Hue and Hugh Hugh. Good morning, Fan. Good morning, Ava. Good morning, Unicorn Tamer. Good morning, Dazai. Lisa. Good morning, Agatha. Welcome to the menagerie and thank you for following. Good morning, Little Mouse. Good morning, Cece Bear and Quiche. Ish. Good morning, Solian, Meow Kitty Cat, and Sinful Microwave. Good morning, Crystal Lily, Sarah, Kiwizu. Good morning, Xenix, Baby, Nimbus, and Galactic Gur. Good morning, Shadowy. Thank you for the follow, Utah. Good morning, Via. Good morning, Hades and Buttertub. Good morning, Lily Spock Paradise and Marine Wife. Ooh, thank you so much for the redeem, Broken Arc Fae. Good morning, Nixie. Da-da-da. And of course, we got that little southern voice there. Good morning, Ayas and Gibbets, and good morning, Carmia. Wow, Carmia coming in. We consider taking an afternoon nap while I'm at work? Maybe. Doubtful, though. Oh, 1 second. And good morning, Okami. Sorry, y'all, I'm moving my tea from a blender to a cup. 1 second. There we are. Good morning. And thank you for the follow, Natasha. That's right. I had all my tea in a blender because I needed to. Thank you for the biddies. Make a giant cup of tea. And a blender was the biggest cup that I had. Mm-mm-mm. And it's very tasty. And I'm most definitely not moving my teeth to it. I'm too tired to respond to that. I'm much too tired today. Oh no. No, no, no. Do I have the same tea every morning? I do right now, but I just got a bunch of new ones. Mm. Oh, you saw me on TikTok. Hopefully a good one. Which one was it? I'm not drinking that this morning, but I do have it. Good morning, Evie. How you doing? We're gonna be doing Minecraft today. Also, I can't sleep, even if I wanted to. I've got work this morning. And so there ain't no point in me going back to sleep. I work every day. Unless I call out sick, but I can't call out sick. You know why I can't call out sick, chat? Oh, I'm glad I said that, Natasha. One of my favorite videos. Because I don't get paid, or I gotta use what little sick time I have, and we're gonna be using that sick time to do my fundraiser. Mm. It's Minecraft time. Y'all made a little house. It ain't look like much from the outside. From the inside. Thank you for checking in, Evie. It's kinda cute, you know what I mean? How adorable this little place is. Right. I built it because we need a place to be while we're trying to plunder this thing. And y'all remember how you were telling me, Gene, you need to have a lead. You gotta have a lead, Gene. Why don't you have a lead, Gene? Well, Gene's got a lead now. Mm-hmm. And Gene might mind a bit to try to make a thing. I mean, Sergio comes out there. I fight him. You also got some food I set up. Just in case we run out of food. Yeah. Oh, these dumb little skeletons. Yeah. I just planted a bunch of berries instead of eating them. Well, have a good one, Alaska Daddy. Oh, Minecraft is so much good. So much good. Um, Never mind, I'm going back to sleep. Thank you. Thank you for the look, Solian. So much good. Have you defeated the Ender Dragon? No. My main goal right now is looking for. Oh. Right. Totems. I want totems so when we're going through the nether and everything, I don't gotta worry as much. Mm. And then I'll be set. I need a bucket. And I need stuff. I've never defeated the Ender Dragon at all, no. We're gonna do it the first time on hardcore. Oh, yes, no, I know what humans need. Surprise, surprise, though, Chad, I'm not human. I'm a VTuber. Vanya, good morning. Thank you so much for the resub. Hoi hoi. Me hoi manoi. What are these supposed to be, bats? Meowing. Meowing to you too. Alright. You be good. There we are. What's that? I never seen anything like that before. Nah, you know, I'm pulling out of here. Those are Vexes. Well, they sure are vexing. That's for sure. Why can they go through blocks? What the heck? Why can they go through blocks? Since when is there a mom that can go through blocks, yo? I wouldn't have gone in there so easily. Unknown there was something that goes through blocks. Mm-hmm. So they're just what? Ghosts? Oh, that feels dumb. Alright, alright. There you go. What the heck? So it's just here now. They don't go away. Alright, fine. So dumb. Alright, well, I guess we're not being here anymore. They're just infinite, and you can't kill them. I deal with that. Nah, I kept killing them, and there was more of them. Every single time there was another one. Hmm. So, yeah. Hmm. I can't even get to my bed now. Hmm. Alright. Well, let me get done with being frustrated. Yeah, cook up me getting sleep. I'd love that. Morning, Oshi. Oshi, today I discovered there's a stupid, murderous fairy that pisses me off. We're just gonna live in a hole and hope that the Vex doesn't magically stumble upon us and kill us through walls. This was not the day for me to find out about these things. I'm sorry, don't be mean to the thing that's trying to kill me. Yeah, I don't care if they break. They break, they break. I found out that there's a thing called Vexes, and they are dumb. Mm-hmm. They're cute and they're trying to kill me in hardcore mode. I'm not gonna be nice to them. You know what? No, I can't do Minecraft if that's what exists in it today. That's it for that game. Not happening. No. It's gonna make me mad. I'm too tired to deal with it. There you go. Now we're gonna do Day of the Diver. I'm just not gonna do any of the voices this morning. Gonna be up in 6 hours. Definitely see if we can get some sleep. I hope it gets better soon as well. Just the lack of sleep is making it a little bit difficult. No, if it'll be brain next stream, that'll be good. God, I saw your message, by the way. I just haven't been able to look at it yet. I do apologize for that. Oh, see, y'all need to... Yes, it can be. Unless you highlight your message, I don't see it. Yeah, alright, back to this. Is it still too loud? Okay. I'm sorry to hear your kitty tried to climb your tapestry. I'm more sorry they were not successful. You know what? Janice, if anyone were to say to me that in person, I would absolutely strangle them. Cat was climbing curtains, that's not good. I hope they sleep well. Not sleep well, wow. Hope your curtains do well. That's good. My luck. Why would I strangle somebody, or why was a cat climbing curtains? Oh, because if somebody told me to smile when I wasn't feeling good, it shows little consideration for the person who's having issues. So it's like, oh, your appearance is inconveniencing me. Please be prettier for me. Even if that's not the intent. That's very inconsiderate. Neck on. Yes. Woof woof. I know it's how so many women end up feeling. I do think it's always funny. Yes. Come here, fishies. Stop being so fast. How dare you be fast? Tell your kitty I say hi. Shock bang steak. I want a shocking bang steak. Imagine just walking around and whoop-bow. No. Exactly. That should be, that's almost abuse. I'm here with my shocking bang stick. There we go. Yay. Ooh. Alright. Now where were we? To the fish tank. Yay. You're fine. No need to. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lily. Let's see what we have. No, look how cute this is. And now to see what we have here. Yes, I go. Da-da-da. There you go. No. I'm sorry to hear that, sir. You doing okay? Alright. I think the air tank is probably the best one right now. And down we go. I feel that. Budgeting can be hard. I know I most definitely struggle with it. Mail the shocking harpoon. Yay. And what's this? That's fair. Anxiety can be very tough. And it over. Oh, my brain is not there right now, lovelies. But eventually it'll be back. But today it's decided to take a little vacation. Yeah, I might do a shorter stream, give myself a little half an hour chunk of time. Or I'll just take my meds, take a bunch of caffeine, and wish myself the best luck. Oh, speaking of, I need to check on something. Oh, thank goodness. I'm not on call. Yeah. Not until the 22nd. Man, I have so much time before I'm on call again. Stop inking on me. Ink on me. I don't want to be inked on. Yay. Oh, we're too heavy. I can't make it down further. That was silly of me. Back up we go. You know what? That's valid. Maybe we'll go to sleep. Maybe I'll go take a little hour nap. You know what? Yo, I'm gonna go take a nap. You know what? We'll send you all off to somebody real quick. I'm too tired for this, unfortunately. Which is awful. What do you mean, Cowboy Life Simulator? What do you mean, Cowboy Life Simulator? I want to be a cowboy. I want to be a cowboy. Well, I'll send you over to Fire Kitchen where he's cooking some stuff. Right. Yeah, I'll be good. Thank you all for going by. I'm sorry I'm so out of it. I'll be better tomorrow or later this afternoon.